All right, welcome back, guys. In this video, we'll continue our lesson on strategy, and I'm going to show you guys an example of applying the strategic framework with your project. All right, so let me share my screen. Okay, as an example, I chose a random product that I've seen people selling before. So this product is wooden watches. So yeah, so basically, just a refresher to remind you guys of what the framework yeah is basically we're gonna look at the market, we're gonna look at the customers, we're gonna look at the competitor, and then we're gonna look at you guys, or for this example, myself. Yeah. So let's first go to the market. Here. All right. So for the market, this basically refers, so okay, first let me just explain this real quick. So your market refers to the industry or industries that you plan to enter. So this mainly requires you to look at the following. So opportunities, so trends that your new venture could capitalize on, threats, market shifts that could negatively affect your new venture. Or for the market shifts can also be opportunities. Next is we have your market size. So this will be discussed in the market size and forecasting lesson further, pero basically these are the different things that you will be looking at when I say market. All right. So next is your customers. So when looking at your potential customers, the goal really here is to find out what they value. So what do they value in this specific product? They value great packaging. They value quality. They value price. They value social proof or reviews from other people. So there are a number of different ways in which you can discover what your customers value. Here, just to name a few. So you have your interviews, your focus group discussions, looking at customer reviews of your competitors, and also looking at product reviews. Social listening, so maybe looking at Facebook, looking at people's comments, Twitter, surveys. So as a personal preference, I honestly would recommend that you guys do check out the reviews of the competitors in different products, social listening, maybe a little bit of surveys. Um, Actually, less on surveys, probably more on interviews with different potential customers. I don't really like surveys because there's a tendency for students to just get respondents from their network, other Athenians, their friends, their family. So yeah, so these are the different ways and you can discover what customers value. Next here is your competitors. So after identifying the list of what your competitors value, price, maybe the design, etc., etc. So you'll have a full list of different things that they value. Your next task here is to look at your competitors and identify which of these things do you think they are targeting and that they are targeting well. So you can basically try to avoid those areas, especially if your competitors are a little bit bigger and a little bit more well established. So there are a myriad of different ways in which you can find out what your competitors are doing, how they're positioning their product. First is their social media, their marketing, their offers, what are they promoting, uh, what promos do they have? They have buy one get one. Do they have 50% discount? Next is distribution. Where are they distributing the products? Are they selling through bazaars? Are they selling through events? Then next is their history, looking at how long they've been in business, uh, different partnerships that they have had in the past. So one thing that you have to note when you're looking at the strengths and weaknesses of your competitors or even yourself is that a strength or a weakness is something that only they have or that is exclusive to that competitor or to yourself, and that is very difficult for others to copy. So um, by exclusively by exclusive, it's kind of like they have a huge advantage over the other people in this specific aspect. So, quantity branding. So, well, your competitors might all have branding, but maybe this specific competitor has really high brand love, which you can see through engagement, how many people comment, how many people like, share their social media posts. So, yeah. Next is internal. So after identifying, so from your list of customer values, you kind of remove some of the values that your competitors are targeting, and you look at yourself then, okay, what am I good at? What am I weak at? And then you kind of mix and match to find which specific values, customer values, are the best for you to target. So here's a quote from Sun Tzu from The Art of War. So if you know both yourself and your enemy, or in this case, your competitors, you can win 100 battles without a single loss. So yes. So something here, finding your own strengths. So this is usually where people kind of have difficulty, especially in this context of you guys being students, not really having had professional experience, I guess. Although I know a lot of you have done a lot of extracurricular activities or even have probably started your business of your own. So yeah, pero these are some questions that you can kind of ask yourself when you're trying to find out your own strength. So what can I do better than 90% of the general population and or 90% of my peers? What am I passionate about? What am I interested in? Because if you're interested in something, you're probably a lot more knowledgeable on that specific aspect, specific field. Next is what activities do I enjoy? What activities don't I enjoy? Is also a good question to ask yourself to kind of narrow down your strengths. Next is what do others think my strengths are. So I kind of think that we're not really the best judge of ourselves to a certain extent. So it might be good to ask others, your group mates maybe, classmates even, what they think your strengths are. So yeah. Um, so after you've done your research about your market, about your competitors, about your customers, and about yourself, it's time to kind of synthesize this research into a practical strategy. So the way we're going to do this is using a SWOT analysis coupled with the TOS matrix. So if you guys are not familiar, SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And the TOS matrix is kind of a way of mixing and matching these different things to come up with a coherent strategy. All right, so this is what your SWOT looks like. So what you can do is you can get your opportunities and your threats from the research that you've conducted about the market, about the customers, and about your competitors. And then for the strengths and weaknesses, this is more on the internal side. All right. So some guide questions when you're trying to do a TOS matrix. So basically what the TOS matrix is you're kind of matching your strengths with the opportunities, your strengths with the threats, your weaknesses with the opportunities, and then your weaknesses with the threats. So some good guide questions that you can ask yourself are, first, how can I capitalize on the opportunities with my strengths? Next is how can I overcome the threats using my strengths? Next is how will my weaknesses hinder me from capitalizing on the opportunities? And lastly, how will my weaknesses aggravate the threats? So yeah, so let's kind of look at this from a real life example. Okay, so as I've mentioned earlier, let's use wooden watches as a potential product that we can analyze. So the first thing that we have to look at is market trends. So for what I did was I already researched a lot of these things. So it won't take up too much time. So the video won't be too long. So what I did for market trends is that I looked at Euromonitor. I looked at the country report for the Philippines, watches report for the Philippines, and the retail report for the Philippines. And I kind of looked at, okay, what are the trends, what's happening in the market, etc., etc. So the first trend that I took note of is so that social media is a promising new marketing tool. Brands look to establish a presence in new malls. So basically, just that social media is a good marketing tool to use. Next is that with a fairly fragmented competitive landscape, led by Rolex due to its association with luxury and social status. So from the research, it kind of shows with the brand shares, the market shares from the different competitors, that the market leaders, quote unquote, although it is a fragmented competitive landscape, are mostly luxury brands. So yeah. Next is brands like Casio collaborated with various companies to have their products as corporate giveaways for their employees. So this is very interesting. Take note of. And then I've done a quick market sizing uh, exercise to kind of get this number, 96,128 potential customers. So I'll discuss more on that when we get to that specific module. Yeah. So these are this basically sums up my research for the market. Next is for my customers. So what I did here was first thing, went on Google, looked up wooden watches, and basically just like that. Okay, who are the first few brands that come up? So, oh wait, sorry. So yeah, so the brands that came up were Nara watches and Caillou watches. So what I did was I looked at their product reviews. In addition to that, I also went on Shopee, looked up wooden watches, and looked up the reviews from those different um, products as well. So let me just read to you some of the different reviews. So, bro, napakahusay, nasunutan ng aking design. Nice, nagustuhan niya din. Hihi. Medyo mahirap lang i-adjust na sakto sa wrist nila, pero kakayanin. In terms of design naman, wala akong masasabi. Sa galing, hehe. I love it so much. So, a little bit of context. The product here had laser engraving. So that's what that's what the customer was referring to when they were talking about the design. So okay, next is thank you so much Dodo dear. Napakaganda po. Happy ang husband ko. Very unique. Recommended for special gift. Lahat po ng logo correct. Thank you sa store na ito. Order ulit ako next time. So also same product, laser engraved wooden watch. A very interesting they're basically what you can take note from here is that a lot of people are buying it as gifts. Next is from Nara watches, I think. So from National Products and have a unique style, touch of nature. Is some emojis. So a lot of people are buying it for that eco-friendly aspect. Next, thanks for the item, love it, nice package, friendly rider, all good. So packaging is a factor. Next is super bilis ang delivery. At super good quality yung product nila. Nakatulong ka na sa environment, may maganda ka pang relo. Super sealed in the product. So packaging and eco-friendly again. Next is for the competitors. What I did was I looked at their website and their Facebook pages. So for Nara watches, they price their watches at around 2,800 pesos. In terms of their marketing, they're very nature centric. A lot of outdoors, um, pictures, creatives. They also have a partnership with GP Stop, so they kind of have this for the greater good positioning. Next is as for the design, so diver watch looking designs. For those of you who are, I'm trying to look at my watches here. Oh, it is. So for those of you not familiar, a diver watch kind of looks like this. So it has that strap looking thing. So yeah, that's what a diver watch looks like. So they also market their product as gifts. They have gift boxes, I think, and they have around 4,000 likes on Facebook. So the next competitor that we will be looking at is Caillou watches. So they're pricing it a little bit cheaper at 2,300. They have 67 likes on Facebook, so they're actually a lot bigger than Nara watches. They have a diver watch design and a watch with the NATO strap. So I'm pretty sure NATO strap is what you call that, the kind of cloth strap thing. I don't really have one right now on me. For the watch experts out there, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. So this is also the caption for one of their posts. So Caillou Watch is very delighted to be part of Ariel and Mai's wedding. So this is kind of interesting. Wedding and wedding services might be a possible opportunity. Next is finally Kurma bamboo watch dedicated to support the weekend protection is back. So this is also another thing. So very eco-friendly. They're kind of capitalizing on the popularity of the Pawikan festival. So if you guys are not familiar, this is the festival where they release little tiny baby turtles into the ocean. Yeah, so it's kind of a good thing to target. Maybe they can distribute their watches here. Maybe they can donate to these different festivals. So now for the internal aspects. So my strengths, my personal strengths are in e-commerce and personalization. So this is because of um, my family business. My my family my family's business is mainly in printing, specifically printing machines. Next, for my weaknesses, lack of design skills. So as you guys can tell from my PowerPoints, are kind of simplistic. I don't really have a lot of design skills. So that's basically my weakness. So I kind of listed them here for the opportunities, threats, strengths, and weaknesses. So this is my SWOT analysis. Now let's go into the TOS matrix. What I did was I listed down the different guide questions and kind of answered them. So how can I capitalize on opportunities with my strengths? So social media is a key skill in e-commerce, and it's a trending marketing tool. So this is something that I can use to actually market this a specific product. Personalization being my strength, through laser engraving for corporate giveaways, weddings, and gifts. So I can probably sell this to different corporations, to wedding organizers, and maybe package it as a cool gift to give to your loved ones. Next, how can I overcome the threats using my strengths? So one of the threats that I put here is the pandemic. So focus on e-commerce to mitigate the threats of the pandemic. This means that because of lockdowns and people are afraid to go out, it might not be advisable to sell the product on brick and mortar stores. Next is focus on personalization to position the brand as luxurious. So looking at our competitors, they're all very much priced cheaply, relatively. So what we can do is actually price this product a lot more at a much higher range. So maybe price it at around 10,000, maybe even more. Maybe partner make it the luxury wooden watch brand. Next, how will my weaknesses hinder me from capitalizing on the opportunities? So my weak design skills will make it harder to build a brand. Limited personalization options because of the lack of design skills as well. Uh, because how my weaknesses aggravate the strength. So it's harder to kind of position myself as luxurious when design isn't really the biggest strength. But there are definitely ways to mitigate this, which I kind of list down in the summary of the overall strategy. So first is focus on distributing through e-commerce channels, marketing on social media, having my own website, and delivering it through trustworthy couriers and delivery partners. Next is position the brand as a luxury option. So a few ways that I could do this is by having the personalization and customization aspect, maybe even partnering with a lot of famous designers of furnitures. I know there are a few here in the Philippines that can maybe design watches. I don't know, have and do a profit sharing deal with them. So so you kind of piggyback on their fame and their um, basically on their fame. Next is target businesses and wedding organizers to by providing personalization services. So this is also a huge market here in the Philippines. Just hire a skilled designer to help in product design and branding. So yes, that is very, very important. So going back to our flowchart here. So the things that I've mentioned, basically they become your main objectives. So each of these objectives focus on distribution to e-commerce channels. You'll kind of have to break them down even further to really plan out how you will do it exactly. As for the project, what you will do is you kind of identify, okay, what are my key metrics? So my key metrics for this one is brand love, or how people perceive my branding. So I'll have that as a metric. Next is number of businesses that I get from corporate from other corporations, from wedding organizers, etc., etc. So basically, I can kind of focus on those two things. So my sales and my marketing, uh, maybe even my design option. So maybe partnering up with famous designers in the Philippines becomes my strategic objectives. Yes. So basically, this is how you kind of come up with your own strategy for your own product. So hopefully, it kind of gives you guys clarity on how you can come up with a strategy for your own brand. Yeah. So that's gonna be the end of the video. I'll see you guys. Thank you. So I always, yeah.